Welcome to Washington Elementary School District's overview of mandatory reporting and student awareness. It is the right of every WESD student to be educated in a positive, safe, and caring learning environment. This presentation reviews a few guidelines that help to maintain a positive learning environment. Unfortunately, a student's home life can also impact the learning environment, so this presentation will discuss employee responsibility in the identification and reporting of maltreatment. School personnel are often the first person to whom children disclose abuse or who suspect abuse because they recognize behavioral changes. It is important that all district staff be aware of the procedures for making a report because all personnel are responsible for reporting suspected abuse, whether they are certified, classified, or even volunteers. The reporting procedures discussed adhere to Arizona law, which defines 6 categories of offenses. The reporting process consists of 3 steps: discovery of facts, establishment of reasonable belief, and the making of the report. The process begins when you discover facts. Facts are generally discovered in one of 3 ways: information directly from a child, information from a third party, or observation of a child. If the information comes from a child's spontaneous disclosure, only ask these 4 questions to get a better understanding of the situation. What happened? Who did it? When did it happen? And where were you when it happened? If needed, find a private and safe environment for the child to talk. If someone else has reported a child's mistreatment to school personnel, it is not necessary for the child to be questioned or asked to agree with the information received. If you observe unexplained physical injury or other unusual information in a child, only ask them the same 4 questions to obtain a better understanding of the situation. The next step is to determine if these facts lead you to reasonably believe that the child has been the victim of physical injury, abuse, neglect, or another reportable offense. This does not mean that you have proof, simply a reasonable belief based on the facts you know. An Arizona court has said, reasonable belief is a very low standard. If there are any facts from which one could reasonably conclude that a child has been the victim of one of the offenses, the person knowing the facts has a duty to report. So, after you've discovered the facts that lead you to reasonable belief, the facts must be immediately reported to authorities. This is the most critical step in the process, so we are going to spend some time on it. When making your verbal report, plan on having the student profile sheet with you, and prepare to spend some time on the phone, so get your class covered if applicable. Document each call you make, even if you are unable to get someone on the line, or if the person you speak to tells you that they cannot take a report. Take their name and make a note of the details of that attempt. Prepare for the hotline worker to ask a lot of questions. You may not be able to answer all of them, and that's okay. Simply be honest about what you do and do not know. The hotline worker is only asking questions about information you may have. It is not expected that you will always have this information. It is not your job to establish beyond a doubt that abuse has caused observed injury or behaviors. Rather, let authorities determine the best investigator. School employees are also not responsible for notifying parents or guardians of an investigation. Refer inquiries to the police or DCS. Once the report is made, school personnel should continue to support a child as needed throughout the investigation. When needed, find a private and safe environment for them to talk. However, do not try to predict or explain what will happen as a response to what they have told you. Any information the child spontaneously discloses should be written down and provided to investigating authorities. Remember, only ask the same 4 questions reviewed previously to get a more complete understanding of information a child discloses. Most importantly, remember to never delay making your oral report. Don't wait for approval from a supervisor or staff member. Don't wait to have a discussion with a social services representative if one is not immediately available. Someone else may make the report on your behalf, but you must ensure they do so. Remember, you have the information, so you are liable. If another occurrence of abuse happens between the time you receive the information and you make the report, you can be liable. The initial report is done by making a phone call to either the Department of Child Safety or to the police. In general, DCS handles abuse coming from within the child's family, and law enforcement handles abuse coming from both within and outside the child's family. When in doubt, call law enforcement and they will direct you. If you have discovered facts that lead you to suspect abuse, you will probably have a lot of questions about reporting. Do you have enough information? Is the information truthful? What will happen after you report? Fortunately, you do not have to answer these questions, and you do not have to investigate the situation further. If you have any information at all that leads you to suspect abuse, just make the phone call. If you're unsure about who to call, start with the police Crime Stop number for guidance. They will determine whether or not it should be reported and which agency is most appropriate to handle the report. Even if you are feeling uncertain, always make the phone call. By following these protocols, you will ensure that the child is not re-traumatized, the investigation is not compromised or delayed, the proper authorities conduct the investigation, confidentiality is maintained. Confidentiality is an important part of the reporting process. All DCS and police officers are trained to maintain confidentiality, so a person making a report should not withhold or delay information out of fear of retaliation from the accused perpetrator. Making a report can be challenging. District social services and your principal can serve as valuable resources to provide support and oversee the process. Board policy requires verbal reports be made immediately. This means that you should not leave campus until you have made the phone call. Inform a school administrator so that you can get your class covered and find a private place where you can spend some time on the phone making the report. You'll also need to complete a written report and submit this to your school administrator or designee within 3 days. This form can be obtained from social services. Liability for failing to report may include felony or misdemeanor charges, or even lawsuits for monetary damage. Remember, the law holds you directly accountable for your actions, regardless of what supervisors or any other staff person does or says. You are not liable if you make a report and it is in good faith. Good faith means you yourself are not abusing the child, and you have no malicious intent against the alleged perpetrator. This can be demonstrated by making up facts or coaching a child into admission. The Attorney General states that a person satisfies his or her legal obligation by either directly reporting suspected abuse or by ensuring a report is made. While reporting to a principal or supervisor is advisable, it does not satisfy the legal obligation. A school employee must ensure that a report is made to authorities. The district's responsibility to students begins even before they arrive at the school building. Authorized transportation of students consists of 3 elements. It takes place during school or school-sponsored functions. It is done by personnel authorized by the superintendent and in a school-approved vehicle. Confidentiality is also an important aspect of a safe learning environment. For this reason, employees should avoid taking personal photos of students. Student photographs are to be taken for educational purposes only. Parents have the opportunity to deny photos of their student through submission of an opt-out form, which is distributed annually. In those cases, no photograph or video of those students should be taken for any reason. District Board policy states that reasonable precautions should be taken to prevent the misuse of student images and student photographs. Image refers to any format of video or photo, including analog, digital, still, or motion, even pictures taken with a cell phone. Unless denied by a parent, Student photographs may be used by the district in publications including yearbooks, newsletters, class projects, and class pictures. These educational purposes are limited and should receive prior approval from a supervisor. Please refer any media requests to the Communications Department in the district office. Social networking sites can impact the education environment even if an employee avoids interacting with students. School district employees must take care of their online profiles. Confidentiality must be practiced, and an employee should maintain the same boundaries that they would in the classroom or workplace, particularly if interacting online with parents or colleagues. In summary, district policy states that all employees in all positions are expected to maintain just, courteous, and proper relationships with students. Generally, this means avoiding behaviors such as telephoning, text messaging, emailing, social networking, being alone with a student, physical contact outside regular job requirements, and involvement with a student's personal problems. You are responsible for reading and understanding the district board policies which are summarized in this presentation. This policy can be found at this website. Thank you for participating in mandatory reporting and student awareness training. If you have any questions, please contact legal counsel or social services.